Hello Amazon sellers. So this video is just a brief overview of the strategy I use to rank an Amazon product page in Google. So I started working with a close friend on his product page about 9 months ago, and I remember within the first month we were seeing first page rankings for some keywords. His main keyword was a bit more competitive, but it took us about 4 months I think until we were number one for that, and it's basically stayed number one since then. So this method is definitely something that works long term. I'm going to assume that most of you aren't SEO experts, so I thought I'd briefly explain a few things about SEO. So broadly speaking, there are three main tenets of SEO, basically three things you need to have optimized in order to rank in Google. There's on-page SEO, the structure and content of the web page you want to rank, social media signals, how often your product is liked and shared across social media, and backlinks, the quality of links your page has received. Now when it comes to Amazon pages, things are slightly different. You only really need to focus on one of these things. On page is still important, and when I say on page I mean your product page's title, its description, its images, and the kind of listing as a whole. But I'm going to assume that that's something most of you have already got sorted. I know how your product page is laid out is important for conversions, and I'm guessing it's pretty much the first thing you've sorted out as soon as you list your product. So I'm just going to assume that your product page itself is filled out nicely and looking good. That's not to say that it's not important. If your page was completely empty and bland and didn't have anything on there, then I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't rank highly in Google. But conversely, it doesn't have to be the best product page in the world. Just a nice title, description, good images, and a few reviews will do fine. Secondly, social signals. Again, they're still important. I'm not saying you shouldn't have a Facebook page or a Twitter page, but the point is, your product page is an Amazon page. It's a part of the Amazon website, which is an incredibly powerful domain. And this basically means that you don't need to have a hugely strong social media presence to rank in Google. Google basically already knows that Amazon's a big deal, it's a great website, it likes ranking Amazon websites, so yeah, basically you don't need a huge social media presence. It'd be a different case if you're trying to sell your products on your own website, because that would be a brand new website, and you obviously wouldn't have the authority that Amazon has. Having a strong social media presence would definitely be a factor, but the fact that Amazon's just already such a beast means that your social media presence doesn't have to be huge. And again, that's not to say that it's something you should totally ignore. It's a great way to bring traffic to your page in its own right, but in the case of ranking in Google, it's not huge in regards to Amazon pages. So basically that leaves backlinks, which is by far the biggest factor. So what makes a good backlink? Google basically looks at two things. It looks at relevancy and authority. So what do I mean by relevancy? A relevant backlink basically would be a link coming from a website that is relevant to your product. So for instance, if you sold, let's say, beauty products, then a link from a beauty blog or a beauty product review site is definitely going to have a much greater effect than a link from a website about pets or accountancy or something. Authority is all about the power of the domain linking to your website. So for example, a link to your product page from the BBC News website or Wikipedia or something like that is definitely going to carry a lot more weight than a link from a website nobody knows about, has no traffic, and has got a weak backlink profile. So how do we build relevant and authoritative backlinks? We basically do this by building something called a private blog network, and this is a network of websites that we own. We build them ourselves, we have full control over them, and we basically use these to build links to our Amazon product pages. We put those links in the content. So what's the process? So basically we have to find relevant and authoritative expired domains. So through domain auctions like GoDaddy, we bid and purchased on expiring websites that again are relevant and authoritative, and then we use online tools to determine which websites are the best ones to go for. After we've bought a few, you set up hosting, you kind of rebuild the website, you put content on there, and then you write relevant content that's relevant to your product and its niche, and then you place links within that content to your Amazon page. And then you basically just rinse and repeat. You keep this process up until you've ranked as highly as you'd like to be, which obviously in most cases is number one. Some aspects of this process are quite technical, but if you feel, if you watch some of the videos and you feel this is something beyond you, then you could always, there's nothing stopping you from hiring a virtual assistant to go through the videos and do the process, or if you've got other people on your team that you think could do this, then that's obviously a great option too. Again, the process itself might sound costly. We're going to be buying expired websites, but basically over the course of the year, doing this regularly and practicing the method, I've learned how to do this in a very cost-effective way. The best thing about it is you're likely to see returns quickly because Amazon pages rank really well in Google. So that's basically it. I just wanted to make this video and see if this is something you guys would want to learn more about, and if yes, that's awesome, and I can put some more videos together that will go over the entire process.